This Guitar Interactive magazine feature is brought to you by Roto Sound Strings. Like Duff says, nothing else comes close. For more information, visit rotosound.com.
Duff McKagan, absolute pleasure to chat with you today. You're going to be back touring in the UK. It's been 5 years in the making. You're going to be back supporting the Lighthouse record, of course,
Yes.
in September. Just talk us through how you're feeling about getting back to the UK and playing these shows.
There must be some comfort level because the first place I'm going to come and play these songs with my new band for this is there. So there definitely is a comfort factor. And maybe it's because UK was the first place that really accepted and jumped on Guns N' Roses back in '87. We came and played the Marquee 3 nights and people knew who we were. And the gigs were sold out. It was supposed to be 1 night, then it turned into 2 and 3. And before we knew it, we were playing Hammersmith Odeon, and like building up. And I've always had an affinity for the island, really. For being from America, it's like, they're on an island, some music. Back in the day, the word of mouth travels faster. So some band, this is old fashioned shit I'm talking about, but that just shows, I guess, my age. Like there wasn't internet in the 80s. It was word of mouth, telephone calls, shit like that. So I'm just excited to play there. I got a really cool, really, really good band, and kind of the wrecking crew of Seattle will be my band. And so looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And of course, we've got like a little taste of it through some of the live performances you've done. Like you were on Jimmy Kimmel, and you were able to play
Right.
One Feather and what have you. So we've got a little taste of it. But could you talk us through what your rig is going to be for these shows?
I go through for my electric, I go through a Fender Super Reverb, but I play acoustic a lot. I have a Hummingbird that Slash had bought me for the Tenderness tour that I use a lot. I used the whole Tenderness tour. I'll use that here. I got 2 electric guitar players, and one of them plays like the B-bender guitar, kind of slide. And he also plays keys. So he's like the jack of all trades guy. Jeff Fielder, he played with Mark Lanigan.
Sure.
And then Tim DiGiulio, who's played on the Lighthouse record a ton. It's his, you might as well get that guy to come and tour because he played on the whole record. And he's a killer, like Mick Ronson-ish type of player. He plays, he's talking about a Vox AC30. They're, kind of not super dependable all the time. So he might go again through some Fender something. Small amps, we don't need huge amps. But my rig's pretty basic, my electric guitar, I have a Fender Tele that I kind of hot rodded out, and then my Gibson Hummingbird.
And I'm assuming that Bernie Les Paul is going to be making an appearance. That seems to go with you just about everywhere you play.
It could. That's guitar. I just played it yesterday in the studio. It's like the best sounding. I have a Gibson Les Paul. I got a few of them, but I put up the Bernie. And you're in a studio where it's really controlled, and you hear. It's like, well, fuck, it's still the Bernie, man. Yeah.
Well, that seems to be the way you are, though, Duff, isn't it? Once you get a sound that's really you, you're very lucky in that way that you've been able to find a sort of signature sound no matter which instrument you pick up. But you really like to stick with the sound that it just sort of resonates with you. Is that the way you would describe it? That it just sort of resonates in a way, and then if it's not doing that, it's not worth picking up?
I found my sound. I got lucky, I guess. It was like the first time I really bought myself gear was when Guns N' Roses got a record advance, and I bought that white bass, the Gibson,
Sure.
Jazz Special, and I looked at the 2. It was hanging in the guitar store for months, and I couldn't. And then we got our advance check, and I'm like, I want that. And I got the GK 800 RB, and I had a 215 acoustic cabinet, which I had to put EV 400 watt speakers in because the GK was too. I didn't know about like amps and speakers that got to match up. What the fuck do I know about that? So I blew up 2 speakers, went and got the EV 400 watt speakers, screwed them in, and there was my sound. There it was, man. And I had a chorus pedal, and I've only added to that, you know, much later, just in the last 10 years, 12 years. Fender came out with that new Super Bassman, you know, head, and I love the grind on it. I had been looking for like grind pedals since Velvet Revolver, something to dirty it up, and the pedals just don't really work with a bass. You lose the low end. I just never found the right pedal until this head came out, and so now I use both the GK and the Fender head for my live GNR sound, and same basses. You know, I found my thing. I see people switch around, and they're always looking for the next great thing or some, you know, boutique amp or a thing. And this is the one. No, this is the one. This guitar, this bass, and yeah, I'm lucky. I know what I like and why change, you know.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And another one of those things that you've stuck with all this time is the Rotosound strings. So I'm assuming you're using
Absolutely.
not only on, you've got the swing bass, but are you using them on the electric guitars as well?
I use Rotosound, yeah, electric and acoustic guitar strings. Yeah, I mean, they're just they just made me. It was really sweet of them. I got this 8-string bass. I found it like on Instagram or something. I'm like, it's a Mosrite, no, Hagstrom. I'm sorry, 8-string.
Oh yeah,
8-string bass, and it cost nothing. I'm like, well, okay, nobody wants this, I guess, you know. And I bought it, and it came. There's a particular song. It's a new song called Trenches that I thought, oh, an 8-string bass might sound amazing on this. But the strings that came with were just, you know, I don't know what they were. And we asked Rotosound, you get 8-string bass strings, and we'll make you some. And they made them, and you know, I don't know what they did. And I just got them yesterday, but they're really good. Their guitar strings are great. Their bass strings. I mean, again, that's another thing I found that once I found those Rotosound swing bass strings, like why change to anything else? For my sound, they're part of my sound. Even the pick, you know, the Dunlop 71.71 yellow, you know, pick is part of my sound because it's got a little flex to it, and I can get like that sort of quasi funky, you know, top end thing with that. And so then I use that guitar pick for playing guitar too.
of course. Now, we saw you with an unusual guitar on Jimmy Kimmel. What was that 6-string?
Oh, right. So that's I played it in the video as well for Longfeather. It's this really McSwain guitars. He's a boutique guy. But for my 50th birthday, all my friends and my wife had this guitar built for me. The thing is, it's super heavy. I don't know if you know the brand Chrome Hearts.
Yes.
Do you know that? Right. So I'm really good friends with the owner of it. Have been since he started. So he got involved with the making of the guitar. So it has like studs all the way around. The guitar is 20-something pounds. It's not something. It sounds great in studio. It's cool to do a video or a song on Jimmy Kimmel. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It looks badass. It's my friend. You know, my friends built it for me. So I played it on the show. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That looked fantastic and sounded incredible as well. Now, of course, this whole tour is, you know, in support of the Lighthouse album. Now, just a couple of months ago there, you released an expanded version of it. Now, I understand that there was 60 tracks that you wrote for the record, and some of them have made their way onto the expanded edition. Can you just talk us through that whole process of why so many songs? And there must be an awful lot of great ones that we're yet to hear.
I just finished tracking. I'm doing vocals now on 15 more. And there's so many songs. What happened was, I don't know. There was some time in like 2015 or 14 that I, you know, had acoustic guitar up against my chest writing some chords, and it was when I started writing songs for what would be tenderness, and I found that I listened to the resonation that was right down my chest. You know, when you play acoustic guitar sitting down, the acoustics right up against your body, and I would listen to that. Finally, you know, how many years did it take me to like learn this one? The resonation will tell you where to sing, and it's not telling you to push, and it's not telling you to sing super high. It's just like, hey, let's go together and sing these chords, and I started writing a bunch of songs to this acoustic guitar talking to me, and I just haven't stopped writing songs since that. And for tenderness, there was a bunch of other songs too, you know, that we didn't record. And then COVID hit, man, and I just got my studio up and ready to go in Seattle. I have my own studio, drum set up, everything. It's all ready to go, and I just started laying down the songs, and there was the list just grew. And it grew and it grew. And now we have, because of these new 15 songs, we have a whole nother board. So we have, I think, 4 boards. You know how you record and you have the boards.
Sure.
You check off everything, you know, okay, drums are done, the bass is done. We have 4 boards. So I hope to release a record, at least the first single, the day we start in Dublin.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So, you know,
so we have songs for expanded versions and all that stuff. Like you got to get the songs out. I did that EP last year. So this is the song EP. It's just, I have so many songs. Like, okay, we got to start getting them out. I don't want to clog the way of the next Guns thing. So I gotta do in between. I'm not trying to compete with Guns or, you know, any of that kind of crap. These are it's totally different music, and to me, but I really have some I'm really excited about the next record as well. I think it feels really good. The next record.
Well, it really feels like you've really found yourself, Duff. I mean, I know you're fantastic ever since the outset of everything. You know, you're such a multi-talented guy, but there seems to be something on this record that's just such a stream of consciousness in a sense. Now, I know you talk a lot about sort of three chords and the truth, but do you feel like you've cracked that whole method of being able to really communicate what you want to say in a song?
I have a method, and it seems to lead me around it, not to sound like a hippie or whatever, you know, but it really does lead me. It like I'll come up, it'll tell me a lyric like Longfeather. Okay, what oh, Longfeather is home. Okay, it's trying to tell me to write this song. It just comes out, you know, songs that come out of the ether, man, and kind of hit you. And that song, I Just Don't Know, was another one of those songs. It just, you know, I had the chords, I had the song, and I just don't know. Okay, what don't I know? You know, and I was walking my dog, and those lyrics, you know, the ether's everglow, you know, the ocean's undertow, came to me walking my dog. I had to hurry home and write those lyrics down. And I think I found a place where lyrics are so important to me, and have become more and more important. I'm a book nerd. You know, I write columns and books and stuff. So being around some friends that have done really good job of this kind of music, like Mark Lanigan and Greg Dooley. My dog's trying to chew the tablecloth here. Dude, I'm doing
guest.
Stuff. Dude, he's always up. We have a new puppy. He's always into whatever's right around us.
Well, that just makes the home even more, you know, full of love, I'm sure. You know, now. On Tenderness, you know, the track Chip Away, beautiful song. But I heard recently, you know, that Bob Dylan had quoted to the Wall Street Journal. I just want to make sure that I get the quote right, because, you know, he said there's a Duff McKagan song called Chip Away that's a profound meaning for me. He goes on to describe in a little bit more detail why that is, but the way it describes it is, it's like my own songwriting. I overwrite something, then I chip away lines and phrases until I get the real thing. Now, obviously, you know, you're a legend in your own right, Duff, but you know, Bob
No,
Dylan talking
that's
about songwriting. What kind of an impact did that have on you?
Well, fuck. What do you mean? Put yourself in my shoes, you know? You write some songs you believe in. You think you got it right. You found this way to write with your acoustic guitar up against your chest. You go record, you put the thing out, and somebody like that pays that compliment to, I mean, he's the godfather of that kind of music. You know, this kind of music that I do. I'm not trying to copy Bob Dylan or any of that kind of stuff. Didn't even think about it, but to have him, the weight of that is really special. I didn't know. Like, I started getting texts and emails, started from friends who wake up earlier, friends in England, where, hey, dude, there's a thing in Wall Street, sending me links. You know, Axel sent me a link. You know, like first thing in the day, did you see this? But I started, and so I'm like just inundated with people, you know, my friends being super happy about it. And then I read it, and it's great. You know, when anybody connects with something you create like that, and you feel some depth within yourself and connection to the songs, and somebody says, "Hey, I really like that song," and it really like, thank you. You know, I did my best, and Bob Dylan did that. So that happened.
It's a beautiful thing, man. And, you know, to go back to Lighthouse, there's a lot of new tracks, as you've described, you know, it's a real prolific period for you in songwriting. But you did revisit Hope from almost 25 years back. How was it revisiting that track, and why did you feel that one was the right one to include?
Right. So I got the masters back for this record I did back in '96 called Beautiful Disease that got shelved by Geffen when they sold to Universal Music. I'm like, wait, I had a release date. I've already done the press for this record. I have tour dates. What the fuck you mean you're so? And they said, and then you can pay us and get us back. But what the fuck are you even talking about? So shelved it is, and it's finally got it back. Like, after all these years, like, just give me my record back. You guys don't even know you have it, you know. So we've got it back just at the beginning of COVID. We got the masters. We were like, oh, here's my record, you know, and tearing it apart and listening to all the. And we listened to it, Martin and I, my producer Martin Fabier, super important part of all of this. Of me recording and songwriting. He gets it, you know. And if we reference something like Killing Joke or just random stuff, we have the same references. So we listen to these songs, and I thought Hope would, you know, I try to tell a story in my albums. I still call them albums, and you're supposed to listen to this from song one, you know, to the end, and there's a journey in there. And in that journey of this record, Lighthouse, Hope, this song of Hope in the middle there, just lyrically, I thought would work. And I didn't pick it for any other reason. And I re-sang it so that my voice would sound the same on this record. But other than that, it's Abe Laborio and Slash and me throwing down a song. And that really
and the rest of the track comes from those original sessions. It's just,
recorded at my house in 1996.
Incredible!
I had a drum kit in the middle of my house, all mic'd up, and you know, so before I was married and had kids, you know.
You know, just talking about that being from Beautiful Disease, do you think we'll get to hear the rest of the record at some point?
I will. I don't know. I'll figure that one out. You know, I have so much music I have to put out. That is another thing that I can put out, but I don't want to inundate the fans. I'm already putting like expanded versions and this live at Easy Street and live at El Rey. And I have another, you know, studio record coming out by,
of course,
you know, sometime, whenever that's going to be. But I'll put two records out in a year, two studio records out in a year, and a couple live records. And Beautiful Disease, I might just pepper those songs in to my studio records, like I did with Hope. You know, I don't know.
It'd be amazing to hear that. That's for sure. Duff, just tell me, seeing bands like The Clash and Killing Joke and Magazine in the late 70s, early 80s, compared with seeing Led Zeppelin, Kiss, why do these first three bands I talk about have such more? Because you love them all, but why do the first three have so much more of an impact on your musical career?
Well, all those early shows had massive impact on me, just because I was young and I was starting to play music. So whatever I'd see, Led Zeppelin in the Kingdom, massive, you know, like it's still that's where you want to see Led Zeppelin, in a huge place where you can barely see them, because they are, at that point, in my 13-year-old brain, they're like, they fly around on a Led Zeppelin jet and they come here and then they're going to fly off after the show and they're going to play this big place and you can barely see them. But I saw Led Zeppelin and heard, and it really didn't inspire me to be in a big band. It's just like I saw these guys playing together on the stage. You know, they weren't spread out and there wasn't a catwalk. There wasn't all that stuff. They were just in it together, and that was really cool for me to see. And I saw arena shows, but the first like punk show I saw, I was still young in the punk scene. I was, 13 or so. But going and seeing these bands that I thought were like as big as Kiss, like DOA and, The Clash, but I was in the same room with them, and they were right there. And there was a, famous show I saw with The Clash where Strummer came out and wanted to cut down the barrier. There was a wooden barrier. There's no difference between us and you. We're in this thing together. I'm like, fuck, there it is. And I still think that way when I play live shows, like we're in this thing together, and I often look out at people when I play, I'm like, oh, what's I meet people in elevators and shit, and like their story's way more interesting than mine, like, fuck, you did what? You swam the English Channel and, like whatever, right? And, so I know there's those people in the audience, and it's all of them. Like, you got a story. And so it's kind of an honor that they'd come and see me, something I'm doing. They'd come and take that time to come see it, I feel that, and that's sort of a punk rock ethos, I suppose, and punk rock to me just means really straight in, no buffoonery, the truth, and I can play acoustic guitar, and to me, it's still punk if it's telling the truth. And that's what it's about to me, So yeah, those early shows, I saw a lot of them, dude. I saw, you name it. I was there. I was at Police and the Specials, 150 people, before the Police blew up, 9. I'm going to go see Stiff Little Fingers on Sunday in Seattle. Beautiful. I saw DOA recently. Paying respect to these guys, fucking mad respect. Thank you for giving me. I mean, these guys, like, thank you for giving me the light and showing me the way, for what I do. Because that's when I decided music's what I'm going to do. It's not going to be college. I was in too big of a family to go to college. When to go to college, you had to go get a job yourself to college. And it's like, if that's what I chose, that's what I would have done. But I chose music because I saw these fucking great bands that showed me the way,
Duff, you've just recently celebrated your 60th birthday. It's hard to believe. Oh. You don't look a day over 21, sir. But
hey.
But just going back to that period that we just talked about there, and knowing what you know now, and all the experiences that you've had, and what have you, what would you, entering this life sort of 40 years ago in the musical life, what advice would you give yourself?
I learn things as I go along, and I guess I probably learn them when I'm supposed to learn them. Like the acoustic guitar thing I told you about. You know, do I wish I would have learned that earlier? Maybe, but I didn't, and that's the deal. My life has turned out, and I think it's just because, me getting sober at 30 really changed a lot of things, and I was able to get to a straighter line to that truth, and the truth in yourself first. You got to figure your own shit out first, right? And I did a fairly thorough job on that before I even met Susan and all of that. So I think I was prepared. And things have happened in my life. I met, the perfect, for me, partner, in Susan. Keeping friendships has been a key in my life, and if you fuck up a friendship, make amends and get it back online, that kind of stuff. I've been able to do that. I mean, I would have told myself maybe at 20, like, fucking watch out, dude. You don't need to drink, stop. But I didn't. And that was part of my path too, all the way to my pancreas fucking bursting. That's part of my learning path. I learned from that. I didn't not learn. I didn't like get better out of the hospital and start drinking again. Yeah, fuck that. I learned like, oh yeah, I'm done. I drank enough I wanted to stop for years in the 20s. I just couldn't find a way. So even when I was in the hospital bed, after that thing happened, I was like, I think I learned a lesson. Let me think about this. I think oh shit, yeah. And I need to call some people too and say I'm sorry. And, I got to reconnect with my family and, help my mom out because she had Parkinson's. Like, you're the youngest son, dude. It's time. So I don't know. I would have been, I think, really happy for myself at 20 to be, like you said, I'm 60 now, to be in a great band with Guns N' Roses. We play, like we're out there killing it. I'm, those guys, I learn something from every night when I play with them. And it's great to be in a band like that, where you can like look at Axl and see him sing a certain vowel or whatever. And the way he twists, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's how he got that vowel. I get to watch the master do his thing and Slash, so I get to be in a band that has that sort of like, I don't know, weight or, I really get to learn a lot every night. And as a bass player, I'm kind of the cognizant guy on stage. Like, this is your gig. You're holding the shit together, right?
Of course. Just one final cheeky one, Duff, just because you mentioned Guns. It's just a real a daft one, and it might not even be true, but out of all these rumours out there is this rumour that there is a WhatsApp group for Guns N' Roses, and it's apparently full of dad jokes. Is that true? And if so, could you tell us one?
Oh, I have so many dad jokes. There is we're pretty dad joke heavy. Yeah. And the thing, dad jokes are so great because they're so fucking dumb. And so you try to get the dumbest joke you can, like, hey, Bono and The Edge walk into a bar and the bartender says, not you too again. Just dumb. Two peanuts were walking down the street and one was assaulted. Do you really want these? Do you really want these?
I thought, can it be true? It's like, it's so ridiculous, it's got to be true. Duff,
it could be true. It could be true, yes.
Look, it's an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Congratulations on all the success, and I'll look forward to seeing you when you're playing in London.
Yeah, killer, man. Thank you so much.